Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer Next Door here, and I'm back to talk about another film, the Bond series, and I'm going in order. I'm going to try to do as many of them as I can. And tonight, I saw Goldfinger. You can't really see it, whatever. The third film in the Bond series, directed by Guy Hamilton, starring my microphone closer. Starring Sean Connery, Gert Frobe, Honor Blackman, and Harold Sakata. Now, this film, here's the summary here on Letterboxd, since I'm bad at explaining this type of stuff. Special Agent 007 comes face to face with one of the most notorious villains of all time, and now he must outwit and outgun the powerful tycoon to prevent him from cashing in on a devious scheme to raid Fort Knox and obliterate the world's economy. Now, this is one of the films that I go back and forth on, and as you can see with the lighting, I wasn't super into this one. And I know that that's a very controversial opinion, especially because a lot of people consider this one of the best. A lot of people at least will say that this is one of Sean Connery's best or his best, which I'll politely disagree. I think that this film, the first half, again, like the last film, it would have been an easy 10 out of 10 if the first half was as exciting as the second half. Because the second film does take a little bit to get going, but it's mostly character stuff, and it's not, boring to me. But if there was, maybe one more action scene in the first half of From Russia with Love, I think it would be a near-perfect Bond film for me. This film, the first half isn't the problem. It's the second half. Now, my main issue is that it feels like an hour and 20-minute film extended to an hour and 50. I don't know if all of the 30 minutes is non-plot, not needed for the plot, but this film does take quite a bit to get to the climax. At about the halfway point, around 50 minutes in, this film takes a steep stop in not really the plot, but just things happening, because the first half is quite exciting, and there's you've got the opening fight scene, which is fun, and you've got the car chase after with Bond trying to escape Goldfinger and his goons, and Odd Job even trying to escape him and failing to. That first 50 minutes of the film is a lot of fun. I will say that. But I do think the second half stumbles very much so with the pace. Let me get to the actors. The film's Sean Connery as James Bond. Yet again, like the second film, I think he's really good. I don't think he's perfect in the role yet, or in this film. And as we'll see when the films keep going, he kind of goes down from here. But I think he does a good job in this film. He has the suaveness, he has the sex appeal, whatever, that's needed to play this character. He can do the action, which is always nice. But yeah, he works in this film. Gert Frobe as Auric Goldfinger, he is the villain. He is dubbed in this, but I think the dubbing, for the most part, is good, and it works, and I think that the person dubbing him is doing a decent job acting. But there is one scene where Bond is looking into Auric Enterprises, through a window, and you can clearly see that he's not moving his mouth in many parts, and there's still dialogue with his dubber, so I'm guessing it's supposed to be him talking and they just forgot to dub it correctly. But yeah, he's a okay villain. I'm not super big on some of these early villains. I think the later villains kind of step up their game and like have very interesting plots. I think Goldfinger's is fine because like once I understood like that he's not trying to steal the gold from Fort Knox, he's trying to irradiate it so that the American economy will collapse. That's an interesting plan, and I do like it. Honor Blackman as Pussy Galore. A lot of people call this one of the best Bond girls. I really don't see it that much. Really, the only thing she's got going for her is that she's supposedly a lesbian, I guess. And then, like, slowly throughout the film, she warms up to Bond and becomes bisexual. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do here. But she's like heading this like school for these women that are flying, and she's kind of not that much of a character. They try to play her off as badass and it doesn't really work. I mean, she's pretty, I'll give you that, but I just don't see what's so interesting about her. And Harold Sakata as Oddjob. He barely talks in the film. The most he does is a grunt where he's like, huh, huh. And it's like, oh. But I like him. I like him as a like kind of henchman. That's what it is. Sorry, my mind is going places. Got a headache. But he's kind of a henchman to Goldfinger, and I think he's decently imposing. And every time I see him, I remember there was like a cough syrup commercial back in the day after this came out where he was just like destroying fences and shit, and then he gets the cough syrup and he's a lot calmer. I've always loved that commercial. I thought it was really cute. But yeah, this film, oh yeah, the Bondisms. The opening credits, where it's the women painted in gold with clips of the movies being projected onto them. I don't think this is nearly as good as the opening credits from the last film, because the last film I thought did a very... These both tie into the film, the Golden Women, but the Golden Women was just like for one scene. If every person that Goldfinger or Oddjob killed was like that, that would be different. But this film, it basically bases itself on one scene, which is a great scene. But in the last film, I thought the belly dancers really like added a spice to it. I really liked the music. I like the music here too, which is Goldfinger, sung by Shirley Bassey, who would go on to sing 3 Bond openings, I think. I think she sang this, Moonraker, and Diamonds Are Forever, I think. And she was going to do Quantum of Solace, I think, but I'm not sure. I really liked her Quantum of Solace song. But anyways, this opening feels kind of like a rip of Robert Brown John's opening credits from the second film, and I really don't care for them that much. But yeah, other than that, this film just doesn't really do it for me as a Bond film. It's a 6 out of 10, yes. I think it's okay. I never got to the point where I wanted to shut it off. I just feel like this film doesn't really have... I don't think it's all that, like everybody thinks. Like, they talk about, action. Let me think. Let me compare this to the second film, which I think is a great action film. I think there's plenty of action in the second. Let me bring up what happens in this film action-wise. There is an explosion, a bad back projection explosion over a model, very obvious model. There is a small fight right before the opening credits. That's fine. There is a bit, frickin' Tilly Masterson almost shoots Bond trying to shoot Goldfinger. There's a car chase through the woods around around Auric Enterprises. And then for the entire film, there's basically nothing action-wise until the end, the shootout at Fort Knox. In the last film, let me tell you what happened. In the last film, there was this really cool sequence of Bond sneaking around a hedge maze, or a guy wearing a Bond mask sneaking around a hedge maze, and Red Grant garroting him like piano wire, which I thought was a nice way to open the movie, especially back then when you didn't have like main characters get killed off in the first 5 minutes. That must have been a shock for people in the audience that hadn't read the books and were just going there because they liked Dr. No. I really liked that opening. Then... Oh yeah, you have the shit out at the gypsy camp, which, awesome scene. You have the bombs going off. You have the frickin' scene, the scene in the Russian consulate. I forgot exactly where it was, where they blow up they blow a hole in one of the walls, and then people like running around to get the Lecter. You have the scenes on the train. You have the fight scene on the train. There's the scene where the guys in the helicopter are throwing the grenades down next to the car, and then Bond shoots the guy in the helicopter and it explodes. And you have the scene on the boat where they're just like, where he rolls out all the barrels of oil and then shoots the flare gun, and every one of the Spectre boats explodes and all that. The second film is so much better compared to this to me, because like, not just action wise, like acting wise, I enjoyed it more. The villains were more interesting. I liked the fact that the villains were afraid of the leader, who we come to know as Blofeld in the next film, I think. Or no, You Only Live Twice. We learned that number one in Spectre is Blofeld. You can see that they're terrified of him, even the people who are really good at their jobs. Like, I liked that. It gave them some sort of humanity. Here, Goldfinger is kind of just... I know he doesn't work for Spectre, I guess. But he's just not as threatening as I would like him to be, because there's so many times where Bond just gets away, and there's so many times where Bond just... he talks his way out of a life and death situation in the weirdest way. Like, he'll agree with Goldfinger's plan, and then Goldfinger just lets him live. And it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. And I just don't understand. Goldfinger's a stupid villain. He has an interesting premise. Sorry, it'll look blue here. It's still a 6 out of 10. But, like, Goldfinger should be more threatening than he is, and I'm so pissed off with the way he goes out, because it's so unsatisfying to me. Like I know that people are going to disagree with me on this. I think Goldfinger is a very stupid villain. He constantly lets these big mistakes through, like Bond listening in on Grand Slam. He knows that he's part of MI6, so why is he even Bond admits to him, which I don't know why he does that. He says, Operation Grand Slam, quite a performance, or something like that. And Goldfinger, like, seems charmed by it, and I'm like, dude, he is a secret agent for MI6. What do you think he is going to do with this information? He's going to bring it to MI6 so they know what is going on here, and they're gonna like snuff you out. They're gonna stop you before you can release the nerve gas or whatever. So I just really don't understand how people can let that slide. Like, people talk about villains like just not killing the good guy for plot reasons. This is for plot reasons. This is because plot, and not because he has a good reason. And yet he'll kill all these other guys who he's been like, oh, I'll give you each $1 million to help me with Grand Slam, or you can stay for $10 million, and the people who decide to stay get gassed, and the guy who leaves gets shot in the chest and then thrown into a trash compactor, which, like, or no, it's like a dumpster thing, like for cars. He's in the car and he gets crushed, but still, he does that, which is smart because you're reducing the paper trail, but he won't kill Bond. I understand Bond can't die in this film. It wouldn't make sense. But I just do not understand how people can let this slide with this specific instance. I just don't understand. So, I mean, do with that information what you will. Like the things that are in the film, I don't hate this film. I don't. I'm trying to make that clear. I do not hate this film. I think it is Sean Connery's weakest. And I know that most people with Sean Connery would probably say Diamonds Are Forever is his weakest. I have fun with Diamonds Are Forever because that film doesn't take itself so fucking seriously. And it's more of a comedy. And I like the actor that plays Blofeld in that. I think he's a fun Blofeld. But yeah, I struggle to see why this film is so highly regarded among the Bond community. Again, people are allowed to have their own opinions. That's what this channel is about. I'm just sharing my interesting opinion because a lot of movies that I like, people hate, and a lot of movies I hate, people love. And that's the beauty of everything that I'm about. But yeah, like, other than that, I will say the music did take a big steep drop between the second film and this one. And it's still John Barry doing the score. It just feels very... It feels way too bombastic. It feels like Monty Norman's score in Dr. No. It feels very over the top, it's very brassy, and it just does not work, in my opinion. I'll stop saying in my opinion, sorry. It just does not work for me. And like two pieces of music that are used throughout this film, like petulantly, like throughout the film, they keep using it. There's like the da, da, da. It's like horns doing that for like so long, and it's like, dude, go to another piece of music. This is getting boring. And then there's the music that plays throughout the entirety of Grand Slam being done. It's like, it's so annoying. And I understand music back then was more bombastic. The music in the second film was not nearly this bad to me. Like the I liked that. I thought it worked for what the scene was showing, but for Operation Grand Slam, it's a lot of slow-moving planes and slow-moving cars and people just falling unconscious, and I'm like, the curtains, the drapes don't really match the curtains. The curtains don't match the windows, whatever the term is. It doesn't match what is being shown for me. But yeah, I'll get onto the pros and cons and final thoughts. Pros. Sean Connery does a great job in the film. Good job, at least. And I like Odd Job. The action that is here is fine. Not amazing, it's fine. I like the relationship that keeps developing between Bond and Moneypenny, the whole will they, won't they kind of teasing that they have together. So many people, like Honest Trailers did a video on the Bond series, and he was like, there's no HR here, talking about like Bond is trying to have sex with Moneypenny. He's not. If you pay attention, you'll find that they're always too busy to even like talk, so there's no way that they could ever be together. That's kind of the point of the whole thing. It's supposed to be teasing. I also like that it seems like M is better in this film. Less just grumpy like always. The film looks nice. There were significantly less editing errors in this one. There are still some choppy bits, like when Bond cuts Tilly's tire. and she runs off the road, and there's like a quick cut to her like stopping because I guess they didn't want to accidentally hurt the car. It does look a little bit wonky, but there's not a ton of that in the film. Again, the opening titles song, Goldfinger by Shirley Bassey, it's a great song. Not gonna disagree with anybody there. I don't think it's one of the best themes, but I think it's a good theme. And the cons, the score by John Barry I thought was very unsatisfactory this time around. The villain, Goldfinger, while I like his plan and I think it works, I didn't find him that threatening. He didn't feel like much of a threat. He just seems like a fat old man that wants to... He loves gold, like in Goldmember. And again, Pussy Galore I don't think is nearly as classic as people make her out to be. I don't really see the big appeal of her as a Bond girl. I mean, she's pretty. Yeah, I'll say it again. She's pretty. But still, she's kind of not that well developed as a character. She's not really given much to do. I do think the Roger Moore era gives the Bond girls a lot more to do. And I think some of the later Sean Connery Bond girls, a couple of them, well, Tiffany Case. I like Tiffany Case more than Pussy Galore. I know I'm not allowed to, but I like her more. I think she's funnier. Again, the film really drags during the second half, specifically from 50 minutes into an hour and 20 minutes in. That part feels kind of like it could be cut out, even though it's explaining the plan and all that, but it's just told so slow and dry, and it just does not work for me. I find it boring. And yeah, that's about it. Again, I don't hate the film. I don't love the film. I think it's okay. That's about all I can say about it. And I haven't been really commenting on special features because I don't usually go for special features that much. It's nice to have them. Tonight I'm just not feeling very well, as I keep getting, because I'm not working, and then I work myself up and start feeling sick and all that. Hopefully I haven't sounded too sick here. I'm also tired. But yeah. Okay movie. Those are my thoughts. If you like the video, comment, subscribe, like, whatever. And Movie Review Next Door, out.